We have been covering from the very beginning, and that is the case of the Doomsday mom, Lori Vallow, who earlier this year we brought you the trial almost each and every day there in Idaho when we did find out that she was convicted in the murder of her two children, JJ and Tylee, and this story is not just focused and centered on the state of Idaho, but in Hawaii and also in Arizona. Well, now she is facing, finally, justice, being sentenced today to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And Fox 10 investigative reporter here in Phoenix, Justin Lum, was in the courtroom in Idaho today to watch it all unfold. And something that we heard really for the first time throughout all of this, Lori Vallow with a statement in response, and Justin joins me now. Justin, good to see you, and that's kind of what I wanted to get your opinion on before we get into your story. This wild and bizarre kind of peroration and diatribe in court about how she thought she was wronged. What did you make of that?
Hey, Andrew, no one was prepared for this. You put it together perfectly. Thank you for having me on. This was truly a shock for everyone to see Lori Vallow speak in the courtroom, unprecedented in this case as long as I have covered Lori Vallow. But for the first time, she broke her silence publicly, putting on her glasses and reading this statement she had written that focused on her religious beliefs that the judge would call radical. The 50-year-old opened the statement with biblical scriptures that she repeated and then told the world that Jesus knows her and she knows Jesus and that she speaks to Jesus. She claimed she does not fear death at all and said her murdered children, 7-year-old JJ Vallow, 16-year-old Tylee Ryan, have visited her from the spirit world. These two siblings were found buried in the backyard of Chad Daybell, Lori's husband and co-defendant, also tied into this bizarre case. He will have his own trial next year. The children's remains found mutilated in the backyard after they had been missing for several months from 2019 into the summer of 2020. And as for Chad's then wife, Tammy Daybell, Lori is guilty of conspiring in her murder, but she called Tammy a good friend and said she's very happy and extremely busy in the spirit world. There was no remorse before she was sentenced to life in prison without a chance at parole, and Lori told the judge how her 7-year-old son visited her.
The first time JJ visited me after he passed away, he put his arm around me and he said to me, "You didn't do anything wrong, Mom. I love you, and I know you loved me every minute of my life."
Anything that comes out of her mouth is a lie. So there was nothing she could have said today to upset me or anything more. I'm done giving her control. It's over. Well, I'm walking out of here. I'm good. I'm happy. This is as good as it'll get.
And a happy ending for Kay Woodcock, the biological grandmother of JJ Vallow, who has been fighting for so long to get justice. In the end, 5 life sentences for 5 different murder charges. 3 of them will run consecutively, and don't forget 10 years for grand theft. As we know, Lori Vallow continued to collect Social Security benefits on behalf of her 2 dead children for months, and now she will be booked into an Idaho state prison and at some point extradited to Maricopa County, where more murder charges await for family members that she was once very close to. You know about that, Andrew.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Justin, I wanted to get your thoughts yet again, because in court today, that shocking statement, alleging that she was communing with the spirits of her dead children that she was convicted on, found guilty of murdering. It really shocks the conscience, though. It goes to her state of mind as well, that, this is not a rational actor that we are dealing with. Now, a judge and a jury, ultimately decided that she was deemed competent to stand this trial here. But listening to that today just really, shocks the conscience, like I said.
Yeah, and she denied any guilt. She said that there was a possibility of accidental deaths and suicide in this case, with really no evidence, as we've seen the evidence in the trial that all 3 victims died by homicide. Lori Vallow said no murders happened in this case, and the judge basically said it. You have some mental issues. don't know how we treat that at this point, but a recent diagnosis in February read by the judge said that she has multiple disorders, a delusional disorder with hyper-religiosity, and then a personality disorder with narcissistic features. This was really the first time we got to hear this all explained before the sentencing, and her statement really just showed that something was off. We just didn't expect this type of statement to come. We didn't really expect her to speak at all.
Right. I mean, because she hadn't throughout really the whole course of the trial. That was why I was so surprised about this. But you alluded to the fact, though, Justin, that the legal troubles for Lori Vallow are not over, because in another jurisdiction here in Maricopa County, she still has to face justice. But for what? Remind our viewers.
Well, we know this story, this chapter in this crazy case ends in Idaho, but it really stems back to Maricopa County in Arizona. Lori is accused of conspiring with her late brother Alex Cox in the fatal shooting of her fourth husband, Charles Vallow. Police believe the motive was a $1 million life insurance policy. At first, it looked like it could be a self-defense narrative based on what we were learning from police, but she has been indicted for the death of her fourth husband, so she'll be extradited to Maricopa County at some point, and also the attempted murder of her niece's ex-husband, Brandon Boudreaux. If he had been shot and not survived, if he had been hit, I mean, really, Brandon Boudreaux was instrumental in helping investigators get to Idaho and locate Lori and really sound the alarm, besides Kay Woodcock and Larry Woodcock, of where were these children? Where was JJ and where was Tylee? So she will come back for these charges at some point. The question is when. At last check, the Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell says if everything goes to plan, maybe by the end of this year, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, Justin, in your view, having covered this, so extensively, was this the culmination, the end today, or still just another, bullet point in the long list of legal troubles for both Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell?
Yeah, for me, covering this case since December 2019, it just keeps on unraveling and unraveling. This was the end to one major chapter and some closure for the family members of the victims. And we should not forget that there were 5 powerful victim impact statements read today. One read by the prosecutor on behalf of Colby Ryan, Lori's son. Kay Woodcock read hers on behalf of JJ Vallow, and then also family members of Tammy Daybell. So they really got to share memories today, and they got to remember these victims that did not deserve to be murdered. But really, in the end, when Lori Vallow said she was going to speak, everyone's jaws pretty much dropped.
Wow. Justin Lum, as always, we appreciate your reporting. We'll talk again. Safe travels back. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Andrew.